Today we're gonna start working on the Kawasaki Ki-61-Id Hien in 1/48 scale from Tamiya. So let's go check what's inside the box. We'll start with the manual from Tamiya. It's very wide. It's unfortunately not a booklet, but I don't think Tamiya does that at all. Pretty extensive manual. Goes around the back. Yeah, I'm excited for this. It's looking like a great kit. It also comes with the paint guide. We're gonna paint this B version, the Captain Teruhoki Kabayashi 244th Air Group Chofu Airbase on February of 1945. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't feel like airbrushing a camo, so it's just gonna be a bare metal finish. Alongside that, in the box we have decal sheets, a pretty minimal one as it's mostly just insignias and some logos, as well as some markings here. And I think this also features the, yes, like I said, the main decal sheet, which just looks really nice. They look a bit thick as they're always quite far off of the surface, but we'll figure that out later on. We have also a masking sheet for the canopy. We won't be using this one as I have something in stock for that. These also aren't pre-cut, so you would have to cut these out yourself. Like I said, we're not going to use this, and I'll show you in a bit why. And then we have these decals, which do include some dashes as well as some other markings that we'll probably find a use for later on, as well as seatbelts, but also won't be using. Then this kit comes with a clear side part, so you can have half the kit clear, so you can look on the inside. Now, I will be using this because I just think it's really cool that you can look into the cockpit and the engine bay, as well as some other compartments from the side. I will check if I can get this a bit more clear by spraying a gloss clear coat over it, but that's something we'll figure out in a bit. But just so you know, we will be doing the clear side option. The other runners here, two polycaps. I think these are either for the wheel or for the propeller. As well as the wings, the pilot figure that's in here, as well as some fuel tanks and other bits and bobs from the cockpit. Then the canopy here, pretty good clear parts. I'm not that familiar with Tamiya's quality or in real life, that is. I do know that they are excellent, and I do gotta say that this canopy looks really good. No mold lines over the top, so this seems like it will be a breeze to work with. Then we have this little runner, and I'm pretty sure this is everything that there is to the engine that we'll be showing. And then the last runner with the other fuselage parts. One of these we won't be using, as well as some more of the cockpit parts. So this doesn't look like it's too much of a difficult build, but I will change that. Alright, and what I mean with that is that I bought this Eduard Big Ed kit. In this kit are your photo etch accessories that you might want for this kit. So let's see what's in here. So what is included in this Big Ed set? Like I said, I won't be using the masking tape that Tamiya has included in it, so we will be using this die-cut flexible mask for the scale model. This does not only include masking tape for the canopy, but also for the wheels. So this is really great and will make it a lot easier to work. No cutting, no mistakes, it just fits and it works. That's pretty cool. Then we have this big package with this very tiny little sheet of photo etch in here. This is just a seat belt set for the kit. So it comes with two seat belts. I'm pretty sure you only use one, so I don't know why it has two. But it comes with these two seat belts, so I don't have to use any decals, and this just looks really a lot better. Then here we have one of the more intimidating ones. It's a very big sheet. This is the Ki-61-Id landing flaps. This will give us the option to have open landing flaps for when the plane is parked, which will also mean that we'll be making this a parked version of that plane. And just look at all those metal bits. These all have to be folded, and this has to be glued on. Some of these have to be woven through the holes on these little things here. And all this has also to be glued on. This is going to be very challenging, and I'm a little bit scared, but I think we'll manage somehow with that. Then for the last package, this has two things in it. This has the cockpit photo etch part, so we won't be using the decals that are included. We will be using these pre-painted photo etch sets. Now I was looking into either getting some 3D decals or just using this, but since this came in the Big Ed kit, I thought it would be the most efficient and financially reasonable version to do. So we will be using these photo etch parts for the cockpit, and I do have to say that they do look quite good. Then for this last bit here, we have some photo etch for the wheel wells, so for the landing gear flaps on the inside, as well as some wiring and some other stuff that I don't quite know where it will go, but we will see that later on. And I think as well these things go in the cockpit, in the canopy. So yeah, this is going to be quite the challenge, but I'm looking forward to this. I do want to note that there is a big chance that this first video is going to be the build of the cockpit and as well as the assembly of the canopy, and then we'll see whether or not I get to installing the photo etch for that as well, or if we will include that in the second video where the painting for the outside also will occur. So yeah, let's just get started. We'll get to the photo etch parts when we need to in the build process. With a project with this much photo etch, I thought it would be a good idea to start it off with marking everything in the manual that's either altered or completely replaced with photo etch parts, so I don't forget them during the build process. After that, we can start with gluing the rudder pedals to the instrument panel part, and we then remove the first bit of plastic to add photo etch to it. Included was a drilling template that we can use so the holes for some floor handles are in the correct places. Some PE is added to the side of the seat to add some more detail, as well as a handle of sorts. If you know what this is for, let me know down below. The instrument panel raised plastic details are scraped and sanded off to make place for the pre-painted photo etch parts that we will add later on in the painting process. After some more sub-assemblies being prepared, we can move on to the priming stage of all the parts. With the seat, we start with a bit of pre-shading before hitting it with a dust coat of that same color. We then start with the instrument panel photo etch. It consists of two layers, one on the bottom that has the instrument panels itself, and on top of that we layer the gauge frame with the cutouts for the instruments. These details really look good. The foot straps are glued in place with some super glue and the guns are picked out in black. Some silver is dry brushed over the guns to show wear and tear, and other slight scratches are created to show weathering and use to the cockpit. After the seatbelts are added, this little gun side photo etch piece is put in place after losing it a few times, and we can move along with the fuselage assembly. The engine is assembled out of a few pieces, and this will be painted as a separate subassembly later on. More photo etch details are added to the inside of the fuselage. Some more detail is added to the cockpit parts with some beautiful pre-painted photo etch parts. The engine is painted with mostly acrylic paints besides the base coat of the Tamiya XF59 Desert Yellow. After some dry brushing, I attempt to use a wash to create some grime on this model, but my recent attempts with enamel products are lackluster and I will have to do some practice on the spare fuselage part to better understand the workflow that goes into using these products. After the last details have been painted and some washes have been applied to the interior, we can assemble the fuselage. After that we move on to the biggest photo etch piece yet. For the landing flaps we start with folding the side of the split flap that opens up, and then the edge pieces are glued into place. For the supporting parts they are twisted and then folded into place and secured with some super glue. This is tricky and requires some sanding on the end parts of the supporting strips to make sure they fit correctly and did not bend under pressure. I then cut a piece of metal wire to 47mm long and guided through these holes. I also had to add in this vertical metal strip that goes through the length of this. I then fold this construction and then glue it into place on the flap. After scribing away the existing flaps, this process became very tedious. It required a lot of sanding until the photoetch parts fit smoothly. Now, ideally, I'd have used some Dremel bit that grinds this away, but I couldn't find the correct pieces for that tool, so I ended up using sanding sticks, sanding sponges, and a large 3mm chisel. And after that, the flaps are glued in place with super glue. And as long as you do this correctly or not wait too long so the glue activates instantly, you don't have to remove this with a big hobby knife. This part of plastic gets removed so you can later on replace it with a photoetch part that has a lot more surface detail. After the wings are glued on, the radiator pieces are slotted into place. Now the part that goes over top of them doesn't fit perfectly, but is the only fitment issue I had with this entire kit, so I'll make it work. A tricky photoetch construction is then made for the intake grill, which doesn't look perfect, but I made an error in it that I did fix off camera. Some photoetch wires and details are also added in the wheel wells. The canopy gets glued into place, the masking tape is put on, and then it's on to some sub-assemblies like the fuel tanks and the landing gear. The landing gear with the photoetch parts looks amazing and might just be my favorite detail from this entire kit. As I glue together the last parts from this kit, I want to tell you that that's that for this month's video. I couldn't manage to get this kit done in time to also paint it, so I will save that for next month's video. I also got a gold, so this voiceover was pushed back as well, so even this video wasn't in time, but oh well, it's here now, and I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit raspy. I really like this kit, the fitment is excellent except for that one part, and I think it looks amazing, and once it's painted it will be beautiful, and this photo etch is an amazing add-on to this kit. I'll see you all next month when we will put down this bare metal finish. Till then.